came from the same womb!
Romance, the hit or miss genre of anime. When speaking of romance anime, there are really only two reactions that the anime community gives. Either A is the greatest piece of fiction created by mankind with zero flaws in its characters and storytelling, or B, it's a complete dumpster fire that even the likes of Gigguk is unwilling to touch. So with this in mind, I decided to, yes, me personally, decided to do a deep dive into the romance genre by completely watching 25 different romance anime in the span of a couple months. Yes, I mean completely, meaning that it didn't matter if I could personally put my two brain cells together to come to the conclusion that this show that I am currently watching is a complete dumpster fire just filled to the brim with horse dog shit. Because I will torture myself by sitting through the entirety of it over and over and over again. I swear I don't enjoy these type of animes, man. It's just for the video. It's just for the video, man. Please, you have to believe me, I'm not a mess. And with that note, let's start off with one of the most hyped up romance anime in every single TikTok comment section. More Than a Married Couple. Coming into this show, I didn't really know much about it other than people regard this as a top tier romance with the likes of Bunny Girl Senpai and Dress Up Darling and one of my personal favorite mangas, Fragrant Flower. So it would be an understatement to say that my expectations were high. This show starts off with the premise that this specific school has a program built into it that forces students to live with someone of the opposite sex, where they are recorded and live graded based on how they treat each other. Which, by the way, freaky ass school. Who does this? We are introduced to the three main characters of this show: Jiro, the main protagonist, and Akari and Shiori, which are the two main heroines of this show. Meaning, love triangle, let's go! Akari is the typical Garu, popular girl that is extremely outgoing and is almost every guy's dream girl in this school. Akari, however, thinks that the main character Jiro is a complete and utter loser, which I would like to defend this man and say, nah, he's just really into video games, which isn't weird at all. But the first conversation of this dude that I have the unpleasant fortune to witness is his conversation with his friend about the different art styles between the old and new version of this RPG romance that they play, and how the older models are better for getting your rocks because it leaves room for imagination to take over, while the newer model have their boobs on full display. Right, moving on. Jiro doesn't like Akari as well, so when they're assigned as each other's partners for this examination, they both are annoyed and piss at each other, since Akari wanted to be with Minami and Jiro wanted to be with Shiori. Shiori being the typical kind, quiet, and cute girl that is also the childhood best friend. Yeah, wrap it up. I don't care what she got going for her. You'll never catch me rooting for the childhood best friend. Except comment that she doesn't count. With the story set up, More Than a Married Couple follows the enemies to lovers trope as both Akari and Jiro get to know the best qualities of one another, all while trying to help each other get with their respective crushes, with a mix of a love triangle thrown in the later half of the season, since Akari and Shiori realize their feelings for Jiro and both decide to take the first step in attempting to get with him following the events of the test of courage. Or should I say, Akari decides to finally start taking action, because Shiori done jumped the gun. She speed ran her way to the finish line by kissing Jiro in the rain. Like, girl, what are you doing? You can't do that. It's only season 1. Ref, she's cheating. Ban her. On the topic of Shiori, let's talk about her. She is just so dry and not interesting at all throughout the show. She flip-flops more than a motherfucker and can never commit to actually doing what she says she's going to do, and ends up backing out and making excuses in order to avoid the clear feelings that she has for Jiro. And I just found it a bit repetitive at some points. Like, damn! Her dynamic with Jiro wasn't the greatest either, which is why I definitely enjoyed seeing the other ship, Jiro and Akari, way more, since it felt like they were making sincere progress throughout the first season, and it's so obvious by the end of this season that Jiro definitely has feelings for Akari, but his lingering feelings of Shiori ends up winning for a majority of the time when Jiro and Shiori are alone, which, yeah, is a bit annoying because it feels like we are making huge progress with one ship and it just gets pushed to the side and abandoned once Jiro has any opportunity with Shiori, even though I think his connection with Akari is definitely deeper. Kind of felt like the love triangle was low-key being pushed down my throat, which is why I can understand the extreme hate that More Than Married Couple fandom have towards Shiori to a degree. I do feel like they dragged the hell out of her her name sometimes, since it's not like Jiro is taken, and more importantly, it's not like Jiro has actively stopped any of her pursuits and set up a barrier between them, but rather a majority of time encourages it. So I personally feel indifferent towards her. Overall though, I found this show to be pretty enjoyable for the most part. Definitely one of those shows that I turn off my brain and just watch for mindless fun. Would I say it lived up to the hype that it was given? Definitely not. I expected it to be something amazing coming into it, but I still had a fun time with it, which is what counts. So I'm gonna give this one a solid 7 out of 10. Moving on to the next one, I watched The Dangers in My Heart. Funnily enough, I had actually given this show a go way earlier into the year, but the first episode definitely put me off of it because yeah, it's a bit weird and cringe, I can't lie, but my friend and I wanted something to watch throughout this time period, so I decided to give it a second go. This thing's probably gonna be trash, man. It can't be that good.
何より大切で
It was so beautiful, man. What the fuck? You know the minor meme with the diamonds and one of them heading back? Yeah, that was basically almost me if I didn't give this amazing show a second try. The main characters, Anna and Kyotaro, have a cute and wholesome dynamic between them. It's actually so adorable to witness on screen. You just have to get through the first episode though. Trust, because Kyotaro during the first episode was straight tripping since he was playing up this emo I hate everything vibe all the way to the moon, which yeah, it's pretty realistic for a kid in middle school, but his quote-unquote dark thoughts about wanting to kill Anna at first was a bit weird, I can't lie. However, when they finally meet and interact, it is made apparent that Kyotaro could never hurt a soul and actually cares deeply for the people around him. This show's first season develops their friendship from complete strangers to close friends that care for each other with every ounce of their heart. Season 2 delves more into the romance aspect between these two characters as they slowly start accepting the feelings they have towards each other and they navigate the innocence of having a first love together, with the payout at the end of the second season being absolutely worth it. I love this show so much, and it warms my heart to the point where it wants to explode. Easily one of my favorite romance shows to this day, so for that, I'm going to give it a straight 10 out of 10. Please watch this if you have not. Following this heartwarming feeling, I was finally tempted to give Your Lie in April a shot too, since it was another show that I have been putting off for a while too. And just wow. Forget the romance genre as a whole, this show breaks into my top favorite animes of all time. I would love to speak deeply on how much I love this show, but since I have already made an entire video of my experience with Your Lie in April, I'll keep it a bit shorter and concise since I don't want to sound like a broken record player. Despite Your Lie in April only being a total of 24 episodes in order to tell its story, it is one that hits deep in the soul. It's a tragic romance between the main characters with a mix of a love triangle throughout the show. Its music is absolutely phenomenal and is actually what, in my opinion, elevates the story to even greater heights past the manga. Each and every song played on screen by either Kosei, Kaori, Emi, Takeshi. God damn it, it's been months and I still can't pronounce that name. Takashi. How the fuck you say his name? Or Nagi is an absolute wonder to the ears. Add on to the complete plot twist at the very end that just leaves you staring at the ending screen with your soul absolutely crushed. It's perfect. Straight 10 out of 10. One of my favorite shows, period. Next. Can a boy-girl friendship survive? Yeah, this is the biggest piece of horse dog shit that I have ever had the misfortune of witnessing. So bad to the point where I was invigorated to script, voice record, edit, export, create a whole ass thumbnail in under 5 hours, all due to the absolute rage I felt once I finished this show. This show is just bad, bro. The main character is an absolute doormat of a man that just allows this blue-haired bitch to walk all over him, manipulate him, and gaslight the hell out of him throughout the entire show. Imimoto is just as bad as well, since she is okay and actively helps the main heroine get together with Yuki, even though she can't give any more fucks about her and actively torments her just for her entertainment. The drama in the show also isn't the greatest, since everything just gets solved by quite literally throwing money at the fucking problem. I said enough. I also said enough in my other video. This is a 1 out of 10. This was a horrible watch. Moving on. Pseudo Harem was the next one I picked up. This was another show that I was watching with my friend Daniel, but he decided to drop the show and no longer watch it due to the art style of this anime, which I guess it's a good enough reason. The backgrounds are super simple. The art style is also somewhat generic with this kind of light filter over it, making everything much brighter than necessary, and the episodes tend to feel more like comic shorts strung together rather than a show that has a coherent plot that each episode builds upon. I stuck with it though, slowly watching it bit by bit, more casually than the other anime, and I can say it's pretty good. Overall, it's a wholesome romance show with the two main characters acting out specific scenes that would normally happen in, would you guess it, in a generic harem romance. The main heroine is Rin, the first year girl who loves and has a natural gift for acting. He has a huge crush on the main protagonist, Iji, a second year boy who is part of the acting club. So in order to get to know him better, since they met during her orientation, she joins a club where she spends her afternoons and days with him, playing out specific scenarios with different personalities, such as a calm and cool person or an absolute tsundere. Guess why it's called Pseudo Harem? Because it's multiple personalities played out by one single girl. So it's like kind of having a harem, but not really. Overall, pretty cute story and concept. I would recommend if you want a show that you can turn on for like 5 to 10 minutes, since majority of the scenes are played out within that time frame, with the subsequent scenes being entirely different. Think like how Kaguya-Sama is a bit structured, where the episodes are kind of split into like 2 different mini episodes. I rate this a calm 7 out of 10. It definitely has its problems that could turn people away from the show, but pretty solid nonetheless. Talking about Kaguya-Sama, it's next up. While I will admit that I had already watched the first 2 seasons, it was season 3 that I hadn't watched. Since when it aired, I didn't watch it at the time and ended up actually completely forgetting about it. So I did a rewatch / first time watch of season 3, and everything that I remember loving about Kaguya-Sama hit just as hard during this watch as well. The comedy is absolute gold and had me bursting out in laughter a majority of the time while I was watching it. Especially you, he had me dead a majority of the times. I love him. Kaguya and Miyuki, freaking amazing couple, if you want to call it that, since both of them have insane egos and hold their pride above anything else, and they refuse to say I love you to each other. But the interactions between them and the rest of the cast are amazing. Generally was one of the most entertaining shows that I have watched this year alone, especially with the narrator. Man, give this dude a raise. His jokes land 90% of the time. I love it. Needless to say, straight 10 out of 10. Can't wait for the movie to come out. Since I was already in a rabbit hole of older romance anime that I haven't given a shot, I decided to give one of the most hyped up quote unquote romance animes that everyone refers to as a masterpiece, my teen romantic comedy SNAFU. Now, before I say anything about this anime and its content, just keep in mind that I came into this expecting romance, since so many people on TikTok refer to this show as the best romance. And yeah, I can't lie, this one put me to sleep. Watching this show during the night had the same effect as 10 melatonin pills would have on me, because goddamn was this a struggle to get through. As a romance, it's as slow burning as you can get, with a dash of a love triangle between Hachiman, Yui, and Yukino. Hachiman and Yukino were pretty alright as characters, and only really got annoying during that one period where they just refused to talk to each other due to some conflict that they had. But Yui was low-key cog blocking the entire time, especially throughout the entirety of season 3. Thankfully though, the ship that I had sailed on since the beginning had succeeded. I just wish I had gotten more content between Hachiman and Yukino. When it comes to rating this one, it's a bit difficult, since it's impossible for me to give it a fair and objective rating, since I went into this wanting either a fluffy and wholesome romance or a dramatic romance, but instead I got a story that is filled to the brim with subcontext and nuances spread throughout the entirety of it. So for now, I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 10, since it just wasn't what I was looking for at the time, and it did feel like a struggle to get through all 3 seasons. But I'll probably revisit it one day and give it a second chance once I am more in the psychological mood. Moving forward, the next anime that I decided to pick up was the Shuinji Family, since my friend Daniel, once again, had recommended it to me, and on a complete whim, I put my trust in him. An action that I basically never do, since I know he watches slop. So let's give this one a try, shall we? Okay. We're introduced to a couple of girls and 2 guys. Oh, their family isn't that wholesome. What do you mean they aren't related? Oh, no. It is with great displeasure that I am to announce that he completely missed with this recommendation. Now, forget missed. He sent this shit to the fucking moon. Because why in just the first 20 minutes, their older guy is in the shower with his 14-year-old sister and she likes him? No, guys, turn this the fuck off. What the hell is this?
What do you mean I have to finish it?
No. Well, after finishing it, to be honest, I thought it would be much worse than it actually was. I think the single saving grace about this show is that the older brother, Arata, only sees his sister in a familiar way and doesn't see them as other girls around his age that he could date. But goddamn, who the hell can write such shit? Oh, I see. Makes sense. This show is a cool 5 out of 10. It's pretty mid, not going to lie. I'm not looking forward to a second season. It was kind of one of those shows that I watched and then completely forgot about. Let's see what Crunchyroll got to offer. Okay, a couple of Cuckoos. Doesn't seem too bad. It keeps getting recommended to me, so it's gotta be at the very least alright. So let's watch it. Yeah, this shit was a snooze fest, filled to the brim with tropes, and then the main character's sister became a love interest for him later on in season 1, and it just got too weird for me. The purple haired girl was boring. The main girl, Erika, was okay at the beginning, but later on in the show fell into usual tsundere-esque trope. And to be honest, I know at the beginning of this video I said I was going to watch all these shows all the way through no matter what. Well, I lied. I played like 2 minutes of the first episode of season 2 and hated the art change. This combined with the simple fact that I thought this show was pretty shit, yeah, I dropped it. So it is with confidence that I say this is a 2 out of 10 and it is my first drop series of this binge. And this first drop series was the catalyst of a storm of series that I just couldn't get all the way through. So it's time to do a lightning round since I dropped all of these shows and this video would be way too long if I didn't do this. So you ready? Let's go. My stepmom's daughter is my ex. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. 3 out of 10. Shigemori is not just a cutie. I found this one to be extremely boring and repetitive as well. The main lead would get into situations that just had me questioning how the fuck did we even get here. The show revolves around the fact that the MC has horrible luck when it comes to basically anything, to the point where he can be walking down the street and a wheel from a passing car could fly out and fucking kill him. Not the show for me at all. 3 out of 10. Our dating story, the experienced you and inexperienced me. I ain't going to sugarcoat this one. This one was straight up ass from start to finish. I only watched this since I saw a post of TikTok saying it was pretty good and I regret it. The start of it was okay at best, but then it soon spiraled into a straight up nothing burger. Little to no progress is done with the main couple and they just go back and forth of wanting to date but not being able to because of her past, even though the main character said he's okay with it. But no, she's talking about some wow, I wish I was able to experience a first with you. Like, bro, I promise you, you haven't done everything. She's insufferable for a majority of the show, and don't even get me started with her sister because holy shit, she's even worse. To those who think that Blue Box had a forced love triangle, I implore you just to take a peek at the other side of hell. It can always be worse because goddamn this love triangle makes no sense. So you're meaning to tell me that the girl that the MC originally liked and was rejected by is the sister of his current girlfriend, and despite her knowing that this dude is dating her sister, she acts all hot and bothered because she all of a sudden likes him now, even though the only change between last time and now is that he has a girlfriend now. She's absolutely horrible. The main heroine is horrible, with her doing more 180s than ever, and his friends suck too. This show wasn't enjoyable at all, and I actively cringed at the last arc and couldn't finish it because the main characters were plotting to get their parents back together by getting them to see one another, which makes absolutely no sense. Straight 2 out of 10. This was a hot pile of straight doo-doo. My friend's sister has it in for me. Yeah, this one was just boring. I can't even say that I got as deep as I did for the other ones, since I basically was over it by episode 2 and decided it's just not worth it. The dude basically forces his ideology to everyone around him, and his friend's little sister messes with him from time to time. Add to the fact that I was instantly able to tell that this was the same voice actor as Himari, and it was just an instant no for me. Not to diss the voice actor herself, it's just that I got war flashbacks from can a boy-girl friendship work. Phew! We got through a good amount of romance sob there. Time to continue with the series that I actually watched all the way through, My Little Monster. This one I felt was just weird throughout the entire show. The main character, Haru, acts like a toddler to everyone around him, especially when it comes to Shizuku. The first episode nearly threw me off the entire show completely, since Haru forcefully snatches Shizuku into an alleyway and says that he will her if she makes a sound. Like, okay, wow, that is a strong start. What the actual fuck. It is explained later in the episode that he just has no social awareness, with the added bonus of the mental age of a 9-year-old. He's extremely clingy to Shizuku and doesn't let her do anything by herself, including limiting her friend options. Thankfully, we do see some progression from his side throughout the show, and by the end of it, he's still very much mentally insane, but slightly better than it was at the beginning. Shizuku as the main heroine doesn't change at all and kind of remains a bitch throughout the entirety of it. To be honest with you guys, I was rooting for the side relationship of Asuko and Shohei more than anything, which they sent a straight meteor to my ship while I was on board, because what do you mean she's into Michan? He's gotta be at least 30, dog. And I was kind of disappointed with this, especially since again people were hyping this up to be a romance classic from the early 2010s. So I came into it expecting something as good as Your Lie in April, but it didn't live up to my expectations. It's a cool 6 out of 10 for me. Makeine is next up, and what can I say, man? Pure cinema. Truly one of the greatest shows that I have watched this year. With its amazing cast that bounce off of each other so well, it reminds me so much of what I love about Konosuba. With addition to this, the art style of this anime is crisp and beautiful to look at, with the animation even going further beyond, allowing me to bear witness to some of the best anime sequences that romance has to offer. What can I say, man? When it comes to A1, they know how to deliver. It's a straight 10 out of 10. If you like comedy with a mix of romance, I 100% recommend. I would like to dive a bit deeper, but again, this is another show that I've made a full separate video on. Talking about studios that anime romances massively, let's talk about Cloverworks. More specifically, their work on Dress Up Darling and Fragrant Flower this year. For Fragrant Flower, it adapted the source material so well, and I love seeing this amazing manga come to life through animation, and got to see some of the hype scenes that I was waiting for since I didn't know what chapter season 1 would be finishing up to. For Dress Up Darling, I went through season 2 completely blind and was thoroughly pleased with this season. I will say though, there wasn't anywhere near as many romance moments as they were in season 1, but I still really enjoyed going through all of the cosplays and everything that comes with making and organizing a cosplay shoot, while also highlighting all the aspects of both cosplay and photography that wouldn't be known by someone that's well versed in both of these areas, aka me. So it was pretty fun to learn about those things. Overall, really liked learning about the cosplays. Just hope that the next following seasons do include a bit more of the main couple's romance journey. 8 out of 10 for me. Next up, Orange. This one was actually pretty interesting. It mixes romance with supernatural, as we soon learn that one of the main character's friends slash the guy that she low-key had a crush on offed himself in the future for no apparent reason, and in order to understand him better and prevent him from, you know, offing himself in the future, her present self sends back letters to her past self. This is where it gets trippy as we hop between past and present, piecing together the story while attempting to prevent the mistakes that her present self regrets. It was an interesting concept, and the character's chemistry was also pretty good. However, the ending did feel a bit lackluster, and it does suffer from the common tropes as well. It started off really strong, but low-key lost my interest as the show ran its course. I give it a cool 6 out of 10. Torodora was the next one up on the chopping block, and I tried to come into this one open-minded because my friend group is completely divided when it comes to this show. Some don't like the show, some think that the show is peak romance, and the remaining are pretty indifferent to the entire thing. Torodora was an entertaining watch, to say the very least. I would say it started off strong and hooked my attention instantly with the premise that the two main characters, Taiga and Ryuji, are trying to be each other's wingmen and wingwoman with their actual love interest, with the big problem being that they suck absolute ass at their given jobs and end up failing at setting up favorable moments a good majority of the time, especially Taiga, since she's an absolute klutz when it comes to romance and how to talk to the person that she's interested. Taiga's person of interest in this case is Yusaku, and when I initially saw him, I was like, okay, he seems to have some pretty good redeeming qualities and seems like a normal person. Why is his shirt off? In all seriousness, I felt pretty indifferent to him for a majority of the show, with the only time this ever changing was when we went through his arc where he dyed his hair and went all big and bad, which I would love to know, by the way. This is definitely the worst arc of the show. It was a struggle to get through, and the reveal of his reasoning behind his actions was even more disappointing. Then it goes into the entire love triangle dilemma between Taiga, Ryuji, and Minori, which was actually pretty alright. My favorite character was definitely Ami, even though at first I did think she was low-key a bitch, but it's okay, she redeems herself. Add on to the fact that she was the only one that kept it 100% real and doesn't ignore the big problems that their friend group have, and actually brings it up a multitude amount of times. She moves the plot further ever since her introduction, and once she becomes aware of her chance of Ryuji being basically zero, she steps back and lets the other two girls fight it out, since they are in complete denial since they don't want the relationship between everyone to fall apart. Ami is the best character of Torodora, no competition. The ending was pretty weak though. The entire flash forward to the end of high school where Ryuji and Taiga actually get to be together, since Taiga had some family problems she had to deal with. Would have loved, to be honest, to see more past the graduation, or at the very least more of how high school life was without Taiga there. I give Torodora a cool 7 out of 10. It was good, but its worst parts, specifically that one arc that I did talk about, drag it down to depths of hell for me, and it's like it just balances out to like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I did enjoy the piece of Torodora, so 7 out of 10. Moving on, dealing with the Mikadono sisters is a breeze. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I came into this expecting some straight dog shit, pointless fun with a title like that. Let me tell y'all about the premise of the show. The main character, Yu Ayase, is the son of the legendary actress who had recently passed away. However, the twist is that he is mediocre at everything he does. Whether it be acting, cooking, studies, or overall athleticism, it's all just straight up mid. He moves into the house of a friend of his mom, as that dude has taken upon himself to give Yu a place to stay, since, you know, Yu's mom is 6 feet under and everything. Yu is then surprised to find out that he is staying now with the 3 prodigy sisters that possess beauty and talent. And basically, Yu just wants a big happy family, since that was his mother's last wish, while the sisters low-key start warming up to him and eventually fall in love with him. So yeah, wasn't expecting much at all, but to my surprise, it was actually pretty entertaining throughout the 12 episodes. Kind of, except when there were like those cringe scenes that made me just go and skip like 10 seconds ahead or so. Pretty wholesome and definitely a comfort show, since it's pretty much just mindless fun. Meanwhile was definitely my favorite out of the 3, but they all have pretty decent arcs throughout the season. The main character is a bit of a cookie cutter character. I ain't going to sugarcoat it, but it's kind of what I expected from a show like this. It's a solid 6 out of 10, nothing too crazy, but it was entertaining as a whole. Kind of have it at the same level as More Than a Married Couple, maybe just a bit under. You know, after that, maybe I really shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Let's see. I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class. It sounds pretty generic, but hey, maybe I'll be surprised like the previous one. Yeah, nah, this one was straight dookie. It was one of those shows where I can't really say I hated any of the characters. I was just indifferent to everyone in this show, since they were all basic as hell while leaning heavily into the romance tropes. It actually reminded me a lot of a couple of Cuckoos. Not Cuckoos, and they might as well be Cuckoos, but Cuckoos, with the beginning premise and the tsundere as tropes and the entire hiding relationship stuff. Not gonna lie, as I'm writing the script, I'm trying my hardest to remember what actually happened in this show, but shit, I can't even tell you myself, man. This goes to show that it was pretty forgettable with a forgettable cast that didn't stick with me. 2 out of 10. I don't remember anything about the show other than the realization at the very end of it that I had basically wasted 3 hours of my life watching the romance equivalent of paint drying. Next up, we have The Angel Next Door. Straight comfort peak. I watched this back in my wholesome run where I was just craving and seeking the drug called the wholesomeness, and it was exactly what I was looking for. This, with The Dangers of My Heart and Fragrant Flower all back to back, left me with straight diabetes, and I loved it. It's cute, and the relationship progression between Mahiru and Amine was also adorable to see as well. They just care for each other so much, and I just love them so much, with everyone around them not knowing about the relationship up until basically the very end. So what they have is quite literally only special to them. Like, that's so adorable, man. Aww. It was an adorable out of 10. If you're looking for a comfort wholesome show, then I 100% recommend this anime, despite it's supposedly not being a good adaptation of the novels. But ignorance is bliss. The art style is a little bit generic though, I ain't going to lie, but it was a really good watch for me. Next up, Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian is an anime that I have seen all over TikTok. The community around this anime was huge, and everyone regarded this show as peak romance, so I was intrigued by it. And from the few clips that I have seen, the main character was unhinged, which you can always appreciate in a romance, and the sister was also unhinged as well. So, with anticipation for a newfound romance at an all-time high, I began the series, and to be honest guys, after finishing the entire series, it was good, but just good. Whoa, put your pitchforks down. Let me explain. I think this series starts off well with the first half introducing all the characters that will play a role within the series, and obviously establishing the main heroine, in this case it being of course Alya, and the main protagonist Masachiko, and their relationship and how they interact with each other. We are then introduced introduced by this little dungeon gremlin degenerate, Yuki, my second favorite character behind Masachika, since those two carry the humor behind the show on their sibling backs. Yeah, but Yuki, you actually do need to seek help. But once we get to the actual plot of the season, the school presidential election, it falls off for me. It becomes stale and boring in my opinion, but that could be swayed by the fact that up to this point, I have already seen the school setting so much, especially the elections being a major part of a couple stories. I just couldn't stand it anymore. Let me know in the comments if you guys enjoyed this part of the season, because it was basically a chore to get through. The show as a whole though, due to its high ups and very low downs, I have it around the same tier as More Than a Married Couple. So for that, I'm going to give it a 7.1 out of 10, since I found the funny parts of Alya more entertaining than the dramatic parts of More Than a Married Couple. Following this, I want to spice it up a bit and watch a Shinkai film instead, since it would be short and from my experience of Your Name a couple years back, sweet as well. Which film did I pick out of the multitude available to me? I picked Garden of Words. Now I came into this film completely blind. The only thing I knew about it was that it was a romance/drama film and that the animation art style was beautiful. Other than that, nothing else. Funnily enough, I had actually taken the time to watch this while editing a video, since I wanted to use a scene of this film but never actually watched it, so I said screw it and ended up watching the entire thing in one sitting at like 3 in the morning. I think it comes to no surprise when I say this, but the movie is just a spectacle. Every frame is beautifully done through and through. The ambiance of every raining scene is also well put together, and it's generally just beautiful to stare at the entire, I think this is a 50-minute film. Now, about the actual plot line of the film, I'm a bit more iffy about it. While I do understand that this film is definitely more of an emotional piece than anything, with both characters giving each other the strength they need in order to face the societal challenges that come with the path they have chosen. For Takao, it's the pressure from everyone else in his life not being able to relate or understand why he has chosen shoemaking over everything else. And for Yukari, it's the constant shaming from her own students, since one of her students' boyfriends ended up asking her out, to which she obviously rejected. However, this bitch of a student didn't let that shit slide and ended up ruining the entire literature class all over this situation. Despite this, the part that makes it weird for me is the fact that it's a romance plotline that features this 25-year-old teacher and a 15-year-old boy student. And to be honest, I would have probably been fine if it was a one-sided type of thing where Yukari didn't share the same feelings but still values and supports Takao. But no, she tries to stand on 10 toes and say there's nothing romantic between them, but then he gets upset and leaves the apartment since he feels like she just played with his emotions the entire time, the same thing that the students accused her of in the past. So she folds and runs after him, and they have an emotional hug scene. Then it skips to the future since she left for a different school, and we see her teaching a class while he sets down the finished shoes down at their usual spot. Kind of an abrupt ending to everything, and had me sitting there at 3:30 in the morning just like, damn, I don't know how to feel about this, since it felt like my movie was cut midway through. Giving it a cool 7.5 out of 10, the art style, animation, and music carry this film hard, but the plotline feels a bit flat at the end. And finally, romance number 25, people. The final series that I have been waiting for to cleanse my palate. Yeah, I know this is technically cheating because I watched Horimiya a long time ago, but shut up, I wanted to watch something that I knew was entertaining at the very end. And this is kind of my feel-good anime, so I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to say much. I love Horimiya. I love its comedy. I love its romance. I love its characters. It's just a good vibe, man. If you haven't watched Horimiya, do yourself the favor, sit down and watch the series in your free time. It's an amazing watch. With that final series, we have officially hit 25 romances. Oh my god. I will say this though, while I did expect a majority of it to be straight slop, I did find most shows pretty entertaining overall, and ended up enjoying this romance run way more than I originally expected. With that said, if you guys want me to do 50 romances, let me know in the comments below with recommendations of romances that I could watch. Obviously, try not to recommend romances that were already mentioned in this video because, well, I watched it. But yeah, I'll be going through the comments and picking out some romance animes that I will sit down and watch. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel, por favor, since it helps me out a ton. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your days, and peace out. Love ya.